You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So the Orange came into this one as a double-digit underdog. This was what I would like to call a scheduled loss. We kind of had a feeling that Syracuse was going to lose this game. They were not going to beat Pitt on the road. They're not a good team. Pitt is fighting to make the NCAA tournament. So I am not shocked at the result of this game, and nor should you. Really, it's the way we got here. Because Syracuse basketball had maybe its best start of the season. It really reminded me of the Cal game. The Orange led 22-6. That is a 16-point lead with 10:54 left in the first half. At this point in the game, the Pitt crowd is literally, you could hear it on the telecast, they are booing their team off the floor after their coach calls a timeout. It was shocking. And you got to think of it from a Pitt perspective. They're fighting to get into the NCAA tournament. No. Not the ACC tournament like Syracuse is fighting to get into. The NCAA tournament. You know, the tournament that really matters. The tournament where you can actually win a national title. Yeah, Pitt is trying to fight their way into that NCAA tournament. And if they lose to Syracuse on their home floor, it would be a quad 3 loss for them. And that might seal it for Pitt. I think if Pitt lost this game, they would not be able to recover the rest of the way, barring a miracle, magical run like we saw from NC State last season. Syracuse created 4 turnovers in the first 4 minutes. Why do I bring that up, you asked? The reason why I bring that up is because Pitt as a team only committed 3 turnovers the last time that Syracuse and Pitt met back in late January. Pitt only had 3 turnovers in that game inside the Dome, if you recall. But they had 4 in the first 4 minutes. Syracuse basketball was ferocious on defense. They were making their shots on offense, and then they just completely collapsed. I'll talk about the first half for you all because the Orange played well. But by the end of the half, I knew, and I think many of you probably knew this as well deep down, that Pitt was going to come back in this game and probably win. And here's why. Let me give you some numbers, and then I will give you the score at the end of the first half, okay? Syracuse basketball as a team in the first half went 9 of 16 from the three-point line. That is over 50%. They were making their threes. Chris Bell had 14 points, 4 made threes. The Orange were controlling the rebounds. They were up 23-15 on the glass, and Syracuse was only up by 7. They were only up by 7 at the break. It was 41-34. I thought maybe the biggest play of the game, certainly the biggest play of the half, was a 5-point swing to close it. At the end of the first half, Peter Mastervich, who had a terrific first half, battling on the offensive glass, gets another offensive rebound with a few seconds left, okay? He kicks it out to the left wing to a wide open Chris Bell, who again was making his shot in the first half and throughout this game. But he has an open look and he misses it. It's going to happen. I'm not necessarily putting a ton of blame on Chris Bell. You're not going to make 100% of the shots, right? You know that saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take? Well, of the shots that you do take, you're not going to make 100% of them, even if they're wide open. So Chris Bell, he misses a wide open left wing 3. That 3 would have put Syracuse up by 12 points with seconds remaining in the first half. 12-point lead, you're feeling pretty good, right? Okay, but he misses. Worst case, Syracuse basketball, they go up only 9. Not so fast because Jaland Lowe sprints down the floor, creates some space, and hits a jump shot for Pitt. And now they're only down 7 at the end of the break. A 5-point swing in the blink of an eye that I think completely turned this game around. And when you play that well as a team, I'm talking about Syracuse here, in the first half, where it seems like everything is going your way, and you're only up 7, you're going to lose. It's a lesser version of what happened in the Tennessee game earlier this year when Syracuse played a good first half against Tennessee, but were down 10 points. And you knew that coming out of the half, that Tennessee was going to be a lot better than what they had showed in the first half. And Tennessee just mopped Syracuse in the second half. It wasn't even close. Like, you knew it was over, right? And on the opposite end, the Orange played well in the first half against Cal, and they buried them in the first half. They led by double digits at the end of the break. You can't only be leading by 7 points when you play a really good game. And then the second half, they just collapsed. The whole team completely collapsed. Pitt takes their first lead, 58-56 with 9:28 to go, and they just never gave it up. In fact, Syracuse basketball in this game, after leading by 16 points, 22-6, they still managed to lose by double digits. How? Syracuse lost by 11. They were at one point leading by 16. You want to do the math? That means they were outscored by 27 points in the final 30 minutes of this game. Is there really anything that Syracuse does well? Aside from rebounding, I guess, they do that well. But even then, in the second half, the boards even weren't going their way. Second half, they lost the rebounding battle, 19-11. You're not going to win that way. 3-pointers. Syracuse was 5 of 17 in the second half. Yeah, they reverted back to the mean. As a team, they shot 9 of 28 from the field. I'll do the math for you real quick on that. That's not very good. 32%. Not good. 17 of their 28 shots in the second half were 3-pointers. I get it. They were hot in the first half, but that's not a recipe for success for a Syracuse team that struggles to shoot the basketball normally. And Pitt woke up offensively. They shot 60% as a team in the second half. It was just not fun to watch those final few minutes of this game.